Working on your pullout technique is one of the easiest ways to drop time in breaststroke. In this video, I'm gonna share with you 5 different ways that you can drop time in the 100 breaststroke. And whether you're trying to drop 10 seconds or 1 second, the concepts I'm gonna share in this video, when applied correctly and consistently over time, are gonna make you swim faster breaststroke than ever before. Make sure you watch this video until the end because I'm gonna walk through an epic breaststroke workout from my own personal library that I've done from college into my master years as well. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Pullouts, I already mentioned it. If you're not familiar what a pullout is, if you're a beginner, a pullout is something that you can do every time you push off the wall in breaststroke. In the other strokes, you can do a dolphin kick in streamline to carry your momentum. In breaststroke, I call it a freebie. You get additional benefit of what you can do off the wall, and that additional benefit is in the form of a pullout. So you push off the wall in streamline, you hold that, then you get one full arm pull down, you also get a dolphin kick, and then you kick up into the first stroke. So when you do that, you're basically carrying additional momentum off the wall that you wouldn't otherwise have. Now I mentioned the word momentum. What does momentum mean? Momentum is equal to mass times velocity. So if you can leave the wall and push off as hard as you can, you won't be going any faster at any point while you swim than you will when you push off the wall. For that reason, you want to leverage that pullout as much as possible. Here's a few tips to focus on improving that pullout so you can maximize your speed and thus swim faster in the actual event. And even if you're not trying to do a race, you want to swim faster. We're going to talk about training and how you can apply these concepts to training, but it's so important to carry momentum off the wall, and I call it a freebie if you can hold on to it. One of the biggest challenges that swimmers face if you swim anything more than a 50, and even in the 50 in short course, it's that your pullouts decrease. They get shorter and shorter. But we want to maximize our speed and time underwater. As long as you can maintain speed underwater during the pullout, you want to maximize that. Oftentimes, swimmers start to decelerate more quickly as you fatigue. And that's why I have it. It's called a freebie if you can hold on, because you have to do it consistently in training in order to make sure you can survive those lung-destroying pullouts at the end of a 100 or a 200, especially in short course. 200 breaststroke, you feel like your lungs are going to explode, and that's why it's so important to do this consistently. Now, one of the key things about a pullout is that you want to maintain your body position. Remember, streamline. The water is 800 times more resistive than air, and you want to make sure that when you're doing the pullout, you are maintaining your head position, meaning you're looking down and you're not lifting your head up. Also, when you pull your hands down in the pull down phase, you want to keep your body narrow and your hands at your side, and you want to decrease the surface area that your body is disrupting through the water. Even when you bring your hands up, you want to make sure that they are sneaking up to the streamlined position next to your body and your hands don't stick out and you cause a ton of resistance. Same thing applies for the kick, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. So that pretty much covers the pullout. And the pullout is very important, especially in short course swimming. But what's important in any race discipline, whether it's short course yards, meters, or long course meters, is the start. Very similar to the pullouts off the wall. And if you're not competing, don't worry about this. You can skip ahead maybe 30 seconds. But in case you're interested in a start, it is so important to carry that momentum off the dive. We use the word momentum a lot because this is the most significant phase of breaststroke in a race. It's the dive. You will always be going slower than you were off the dive. And that's why in breaststroke, more than any other race, because it's most significant in breaststroke, you have to have a clean entry. Because unlike freestyle, which you're actually swimming the stroke pretty fast over the water, for breaststroke, you have to make sure that you are carrying that momentum as long as you can off the dive, because as soon as you start swimming, you're going to be moving slower. So you can really leverage that dive and leverage the momentum that you have underneath the water from the dive, and you can carry your pullouts. That's why you see some of the fastest swimmers in the world in like the 200 breaststroke, especially in short course yards in the United States. These top guys and girls are only taking 3 or 4 strokes on the first 25 yards of the race. It's absolutely crazy to watch, but if you're a really good swimmer, and we'll work on a set that you can improve your pullouts over time, you have to have a clean entry and you maximize your distance. Now I want to talk about technique, because technique is really the fundamental thing, especially if you're not competing and you just want to get better at breaststroke, and maybe you are competing and you want to go from, a 140 to a 130, or you're trying to break a minute, you're trying to go from 1 minute to 59 seconds. It's mostly going to happen with technique. Maybe you learned how to do a pullout, great. Maybe you already know how to do it. You know how to do a start. Now it's all about what happens while you're actually swimming. Now let's talk about technique. But before we talk about technique, I want to thank today's video sponsor, Underwater Audio. I gave their brand new SwimBuds bone conduction music player a test dive, and they were a game changer. It's their first open ear music player to leverage bone conduction technology to give you a great listening experience even while you're swimming. So it's fully waterproof, and it doesn't have any extra wires that get tangled with your goggles. Just fit this strap on your head and you're ready to go. The music player has 8 gigabytes of storage, which is enough for over 2,000 songs. To load up your music, just drag and drop your favorite tunes from your computer. There are 3 buttons on the player, so it's easy to skip, pause, play, and shuffle your music while you're in the water. Now, I've tested out a few of Underwater Audio's other waterproof music players, and this one is the best yet. The sound quality is amazing. So if you want to try out these SwimBuds bone conduction headphones for yourself, you can save 15% with the code MySwimPro. We'll put a link in the description for you guys. Thanks again to Underwater Audio. Now let's get back into it. Let's talk about technique. Streamline, kick, timing, and MDPS. These are the 4 concepts I want to focus on. The first is streamline. Streamline is the fundamental body position in swimming. I always say here on the channel that streamline is the most important word in swimming because it's the foundation of everything. It's the foundation of what you do on a pullout, the start, and in breaststroke specifically, it's how you start and end every single stroke. You can literally reposition your body into streamline every single stroke. And that's because the body position is the most efficient. Breaststroke is slow. Your body is underneath the water. You have a lot of resistance. So every time you get to streamline, it's an opportunity to accelerate your body to a smaller position so that you can maximize what you're doing with your pull and kick. And that leads right into the timing of the stroke. So even if you're a super elite swimmer, sometimes we forget what the best timing is for breaststroke. And oftentimes you hear expressions like spinning your wheels or choppy. Things like that basically mean you're not abiding by the proper timing of breaststroke. So what is the proper timing? It's only 3 phases. It's pull, kick, glide. And you can even repeat to yourself in your head, pull, kick, glide while you swim. If you're wondering, when do I breathe? You breathe while the pull is happening. So you initiate the pull, and that's when you get your breath, but it's most important that you kick and then glide. And if you don't have the glide, that means you're never hitting streamline. And if you want to swim fast breaststroke, you have to return to the streamline position, or else it's an incomplete stroke. Now, it's not incomplete in the sense you'll get disqualified. It's just going to be slower and not as efficient. And if you want to swim faster breaststroke, then all this is just going to happen faster. You're going to have a faster tempo, but you're still going to maintain the glide position, even if it's just for a split second. And the next thing I want to talk about is the kick. We want to keep the kick narrow. Oftentimes, the kick can actually cause more resistance than it creates in propulsion. And the way you can focus on narrowing the kick is by keeping your knees inside of your shoulders. If you open up your legs really wide like a frog, that's going to be slow because you're not a frog, you're a human. And so as a result, you're going to have all this resistance when you open up your legs. Instead, keep your kick narrow, drive your heels to your butt, and that's really going to maximize the kick. The other part here is body line. So I recommend kicking breaststroke not with a kickboard, but actually streamline on your back, and you keep your knees underneath the surface of the water. The final thing here is MDPS. This is an acronym short for max distance per stroke. We're going to talk about this with a training concept, but just know that in breaststroke, you're always trying to maximize your distance per stroke. You want to think more power per stroke rather than taking more strokes. That concept applies for all strokes, but especially in breaststroke. Now, if you want to get faster from a technical perspective using math, science, ding ding, we want to think about the swimming equation. Now, I've done a video dedicated specifically to how to leverage math and the swimming equation to swim faster in any discipline, any stroke, any distance. So make sure you check out that video. But for today, we're just going to abbreviate it and really do the numbers on how you can swim faster. And again, this can apply if you're trying to drop 10 seconds or if you're trying to drop 1 second or 5 seconds or 20 seconds. It really doesn't matter. The same principles here apply. So you want to break it apart. The swimming equation simply states that your swimming time is equal to your underwater time plus your turn time. So we already talked about this half of the equation, which is your pullouts and the turn and everything there. and also the dive, that's the first part of the equation, plus your cycle count times your stroke rate. Now we just talked about max distance per stroke, and that applies to the cycle count, so how many strokes per length you're taking, and the other variable is your stroke rate. So if you think about it, well, how do I get faster? If I'm doing a 50-meter distance, let's keep it really simple. We've got a 50-meter pool, and we want to drop 1 second. Well, where can we drop a second? So maybe we can squeeze out 0.2 seconds on this first part, that's the underwater time, and then I need to drop 0.8 seconds on the second half of the equation. So you can start to work the numbers and think, well, if I take one less stroke and I maintain tempo, right, you start to play with the variables, and that's how you can start to drop time. Now I did mention training and factoring in the max distance per stroke and counting your strokes, so let's talk about that a little more. So the fifth element of how to swim and drop 10 seconds faster in the 100 breaststroke is to recognize the difference in training between breaststroke and freestyle, and also the short axis strokes, which is breast and fly, from the long axis strokes, which is freestyle and backstroke. So the primary difference between breaststroke and butterfly is that these strokes, you pivot your body at your hip in this direction, whereas freestyle and backstroke, you have a rotational pivot point around the center of your body. So the difference here means that in breaststroke and butterfly, you swim lower in the water and you die much more quickly, meaning you get tired, you get fatigued. They're less efficient strokes over time because of the way your body is pivoting up and down in the horizontal plane of motion. So what does that mean from a training perspective? It means you need to swim more speed and power, and you want to take advantage of the time that you're swimming the stroke. So unlike freestyle and backstroke, you can swim these strokes at variable speeds pretty easily, meaning you can swim freestyle slow and fast, and your body position doesn't actually change that much. You certainly feel like you're higher in the water when you swim faster, and if you put fins on, you definitely can feel it because you are swimming a little bit higher in the water. But in breaststroke and butterfly, if you try and go slow, you go really slow because your body is so low in the water. So that means we want to really take advantage of the time that we have to train breaststroke and butterfly, which means training at race pace. Now, it doesn't mean always doing race pace. There's something called USRPT, ultra short race pace training. We're going to talk about a workout which has some elements of that, but in reality, it just means really focusing on swimming as little of the stroke as possible with the best technique that you can over a shorter distance, because you're not able to maintain that technique over a super long period of time. You're not able to maintain 200s breaststroke swimming at your race pace. In freestyle, you can actually get pretty close to race pace and hold that consistently over time, over longer durations of swimming. So let's go ahead and show an example workout. And this has one of my favorite drills, not from a true drill perspective of, we're gonna do 2 kick, 1 pull, but from a training workout perspective. And it's something that I still do today. I am a breaststroker, so I love training. I love talking about it. Now, the workout that I have here, I'm also gonna show in the MySwimPro app. Now, pay attention to the intervals and the effort levels. Now, these are personalized to me from the algorithm inside the MySwimPro app. So if you think the intervals are too fast or too slow for you, don't worry about it. These are designed for me. Just know that if you open the MySwimPro app and you look at the workout of the day or a training plan workout, these will automatically be tailored to you based on your times in breaststroke, freestyle, all the strokes and everything like that. So we got a 200 freestyle. It's on the 330, nice and easy. We're gonna walk through that. Then we're gonna go 450s kick. Now these are descend. If you remember, I talked about kicking with a narrow kick streamline on your back, and that's how I want these done. You're kicking streamline on your back to really warm up the legs, warm up the core, and get the body position set. Then we're gonna do 100 IM, nice and easy, just to get all the strokes warmed up, really open up the rotator cuff. Now the preset is basically our drill set. It's our warm up for the main set where we're gonna go some pace work. The drill set, we're gonna go 425s, 2 kick, 1 pull, really work the streamline and work that timing of pull, kick, glide, really emphasize with a 2 kick, 1 pull. Then we're gonna go 425s breaststroke. Now these 425s, we are going to descend. We're working speed, we're thinking power, we're thinking the swimming equation, and it's so important when you do these 425s breaststroke that you really set up your stroke to swim fast because that's what we're gonna do in the main set. This is one of my favorite main sets, not only for breaststroke, but for any short axis stroke, so breast and fly, but you could even do this for freestyle and all the strokes. You can even do it IM. The way it works, you're gonna start with 650s breaststroke. These are gonna be on the minute, and they're at 200 pace plus 1. So let's say your target 200 pace, if you were to race a 200, is 2 minutes and 20 seconds, just as an example. That means each 50, you need to go 35 seconds. That's your target 200 time. So this is calling for 200 pace plus 1. So when we do 200 pace plus 1, we're trying to hold 36 seconds. So we're gonna hold that for 50s on the minute, then we're gonna go 100 freestyle easy. Now the next set, we're gonna go, instead of 650s, we're gonna go 450s. These are at 200 pace. So 1 second faster, back to 200 pace. For me, in this case, maybe it's 35 seconds. Next, we're gonna go 100 easy freestyle. Then we're gonna go 250s instead of 4. And if you notice the pattern, we're at 200 pace minus 1. And in that example, instead of 35 seconds, we're trying to hold 34 seconds, but we're only doing 2 of them. We go 100 freestyle easy, then we're gonna go the final 50 breaststroke. This is pretty much all out sprint. You're gonna go 200 pace minus 2. So in that example, we're gonna now try and hit 33 seconds on that, which is pretty darn fast if you are a 220, 200 swimmer. So I'm just gonna go ahead and write out those numbers so you can visualize it. So 200 pace, the target was 35, 36, 34, and then 33 at the end. Fun fact, that is about my 200 pace for meter pool. So who would have thought? Now, the cool down incorporates what I love, this training set. So you're gonna go 1025s breaststroke. So you've already really gotten yourself warmed up. You know, the main set's over, but we wanna finish the workout feeling really good with our breaststroke. So we're gonna do these 1025s breaststroke. Now these are gonna be on the 45, plenty of rest in this example, and you're gonna count how many strokes you take. Now this is so important because remember, your stroke count, max distance per stroke, is a huge component of how fast you swim. It's how efficient your stroke is. It's part of the swimming equation. And in long course swimming, it's pretty much the entire thing because you're swimming most of the time. So the way this works, you're actually gonna start with your baseline stroke count. So every time you take a breath, you count. And on the first 25 breaststroke, let's say you take 7 strokes, or what do I have here in my example? Yeah, 7 strokes. So you're gonna take 7 strokes. On the second 25, you're gonna take 1 less stroke. So you're gonna take 6 strokes, then 5, then 4, then you're gonna try your hardest to squeeze out and get down to 3 strokes, which would be really, really difficult if you started at 7. Maybe your number, you start at 10, then you work to 9, 8, 7. Maybe you're at 12, maybe you're at 15. If you're at 15, you gotta watch this video from the beginning and follow Streamline timing, kick, MDPS. You can get there. But whatever your number is, you wanna work your way down as low as you can, and then you start to build your way up. So you go 3, 4, 5, 6. And again, if your number starts at 12, that's fine too. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, and then work your way back up. Regardless of your number, you wanna work your way back up to where you started. And if you do 10 of these, you should be 1 more, which means you're gonna have to get faster. Now the point of this drill is to really work on managing your stroke length, and it really forces you to nail the timing of pull, kick, and then glide. Because if you nail the timing, that's how you're gonna be able to take 2 strokes in 1 length, or 3, or 5, or 7, whatever that lowest number is, you're gonna be able to take it because you're nailing the pull out and you're nailing the timing. At the end of that, you're gonna go a 100 freestyle, and this 100 freestyle is going to be what we call silent swimming. When we do silent swimming, we're really listening to our body, and you should be doing this when you do those 1025s because you should be listening to the noise that you make when you take the stroke. It should be very quiet. You take the stroke, you make splash, you go back underwater, you're in streamline, and it should be absolutely silent. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what questions you guys have down below in the comments about breaststroke, pullouts, training, how to drop 10 seconds. I'm actually gonna take the top questions from this video and also from our Facebook group, which by the way, if you haven't joined, is the biggest digital swimming community in the world. So go join that group, I'm in there. Let me know the questions you have now and I'm taking them, answering them with screenshots on my other YouTube channel, MySwimPro Community. It'll be linked down below, first pinned comment, and you might get a video response to your very question on that YouTube channel. So I'll see you guys over there. And by the way, if you guys enjoyed this video on how to drop 10 seconds in the 100 breaststroke, you're gonna love how to drop 1 second in the 50 freestyle. It'll be linked over here. I hope you guys enjoy it and happy swimming. Bye.